What's up, guys? My name is Miles.
And my name is Fez.
And this is The Commodity.
And today we're taking a look at top 10 reasons not to move to Australia.
That was a hard not.
Hey, they spelt it. I'm just like, what's his name? From that movie where he reads everything on the teleprompter.
No idea.
Anchorman.
But before we hop into this video, if you wouldn't mind helping us pay the bills, here's today's sponsor. We were pretty skeptical when we were first introduced to the bone conduction audio technology, but the Ouya bone conduction waterproof headphones took that skepticism away pretty quickly. These IP68 rated headphones are perfect for people like us that enjoy every second that they can get in the water, but also want to enjoy music as well. Being made of lightweight titanium materials, they are super comfortable and won't cause earaches after long usage like traditional headphones. Not only do they support Bluetooth, but they also have 16 gigabytes of memory to download music onto the headphones themselves. That way you can listen to music underwater without Bluetooth connection issues. If you want to get a pair for yourself or a friend, click our affiliate link below in the description. All right, guys, and before we hop into this video, if you would, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. It truly helps us out in getting these videos out of to more people. Also, if you would, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell notification icon. That way you guys can stay informed on our future videos. And if you'd like to help support the channel even more and get an exclusive YouTube short shout out, click that join button down below.
Let me finish.
I know we meshed.
Oh.
Don't be gay. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't be gay.
Oh my gosh, you had to get like all like, we're cool with it. We're cool with it.
No, I mean,
we're
we
supporters. What are they called? No.
What?
No, when you're not gay, but you, allies. We're allies.
Oh, we're allies.
Yeah, we're allies.
G'day, mates. How you going? Because today we're talking about the land down under.
Pause
Was he
it.
for real?
Hold on.
Was
no.
that a real accent or
Do
was
you
that
notice
my
something?
kind of accent?
This is the same, unless there's always a ship parked right there.
It's the same, like,
Yeah,
angle?
it's the same aerial footage as the last video we did.
Listen to his accent and then listen to the transition.
Oh, it's...
G'day, guys. I feel
G'day.
like I say it better. He said it like a g'day.
I think...
G'day, mates.
G'day,
How you
mate.
going? Because today we're talking about the land down under. Australia. Is it a country? Is it a continent?
American.
Do kangaroos really just roam freely about? Sounds like fake news to me.
Yes.
But it's not. The world's
fake
sixth
news.
largest country is a giant 3 million square mile island continent stuck between the Indian and Pacific Oceans. And this strange
The Pacific
geographic
Ocean?
location is what makes Australia such an
That's gorgeous.
Is that not the, what do they call it? The, we saw it on a video before. I don't know. Anyways, moving on.
ecological and biological anomaly
The Great
with
Wall of
so
Australia?
much diverse nature and wildlife unique only to the country. From Tasmania to the stunning beaches to the outback rainforests and Great Barrier Reef, there is so much natural beauty to be found here. But not only is the nature stunning, Australia is also home to a few highly advanced cosmopolitan cities, with the two biggest cities, Sydney and Melbourne, routinely ranking among the top 5 best cities to live in the world. Speaking of which, let's hit 5,000 likes and I'll do a video on the top 10 best cities to live in the world.
All right, so he started this out very positive for Australia.
I feel like it's all going to be satire. I think it's going to be mostly like the obvious, all big, scary animals and
Spiders.
Anyways,
Oceans.
it isn't hard to see why the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples have lived here for over 60,000 years. Of course,
They
the
look
British
quite
also
young
did their
for that.
imperialist thing and claimed the continent in 1788 as a penal colony for their convicts, but Australia eventually gained independence in 1901. And since then, the land down under has become a country with one of the highest qualities of life, a great healthcare and
Why?
education system, incredibly low crime, vibrant and welcoming residents, and an excellent economy with hardly any
No
poverty.
means no.
Nonetheless, only 25.5 million people actually live here, and less than 100,000 of those are
That's so insane, like how small the population is.
it's
How
mind-boggling.
big the country is.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling.
But it's also badass.
Like, are y'all not like banging? Like, y'all need to hook up harder, more often, I guess.
Why?
I mean, if you,
To have more babies?
yeah,
Oh.
U.S. expats. Wait, there must be a reason only 1,000 to 4,000 new Americans immigrate here each year, right? Well, maybe you'll find out in my top 10 reasons not to move to Australia.
Everything's expensive.
Number 10.
They have
It gets
free
hot.
healthcare.
Contrary to popular belief, most of
heard it's hot.
Australia isn't all perfect year-round temperatures. Well, unless you're in Sydney or Perth, but even those get some bad days each year. And
I've never heard that stereotype. It's quite the opposite.
What, that it's, well,
Year-round
currently
good weather.
Sydney, well, New South Wales is having quite some issues with flooding.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, like, I've always, everybody, before I started learning about it, I always had this idea that everything was hot all the fucking time.
Right.
I didn't even know they got, like, cold weather.
I didn't know they had snow.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's the complete opposite of what I thought it was, because they were like, it's perfect. It's not all perfect weather. And I was like, yeah, I thought it was literally the complete opposite.
Right.
I thought it was like,
well, no, that's what he's saying is it's not always perfect weather.
yeah. And that's what I think everybody thinks. That's never been. Does that make sense?
I thought originally that it was.
Always perfect weather?
Yeah. Yeah, when I thought of Australia, I thought it was perfect.
although a few cities on the southern coast and Tasmania
300Z,
actually get
dang.
hit by really cold fronts coming up from Antarctica, the real issue in most of Australia is the heat. There is a reason nearly 90%
Those
of
buildings are so
Australians
cool.
live within 50 kilometers of the coast. The heat makes the rest of the country basically unlivable, especially in the outback where temperatures can reach 50 degrees Celsius. That's 122 Fahrenheit.
Okay.
I was about to
I was
say,
about to say-
damn, I can't convert that,
Yeah.
but then you did it.
Yeah,
so
I was like, I don't know what you're...
couldn't be
To
funny.
be fair, isn't that like the average temperature in like Nevada and Arizona?
I don't know. It gets up to like 110, 112 here during the summer.
Yeah.
So I'm not that I'm
But
bragging. Those days fucking suck.
No, we don't go outside. No, nothing like that. But I think a lot has to do with the fact that they don't have access to like easy access to water, maybe.
Like in the middle.
Because that shit looks like desert.
Well, it's uninhabited for the most part, so there's probably not a whole lot of places to get water, to be honest.
Yeah. So
It's so hot in the desert here that the opal miners
That's
back in the day
badass.
ended up building an
That's
underground
dope.
settlement called Cooper Pedy to protect them from the heat.
I'd live
it's
in that
pretty cool,
shit.
actually. And even though the cooling effects of
I'd
the
be terrified
ocean
to
make the
fall in.
coastal areas more livable, most of the cities will still get days above 40 degrees Celsius during the summer. Add in some of the most beautiful beaches in the world with tons of sunny days to enjoy, and the fact that you're pretty darn close to the equator, and it isn't hard to see why 2/3 of Australians are diagnosed with skin cancer by the age of 70. Oh, and I'd be remiss to not talk about that
2/3.
other thing the heat and sun cause as well. Bushfires. You've probably already heard about the wildfires that have decimated 46 million acres and killed 451 people this past year alone.
Wow.
But sadly, it's not the first, and it definitely won't be the last. Number 9. It's isolated. You might have wondered why so many Australians have left their beautiful homeland that seems a lot like paradise to most Americans. But the reality is that many Aussies feel trapped, lonely, and isolated from the rest of the world.
Why?
just for the record, he said Aussies and we did not.
I bet they feel so lonely because it takes so long for them to like watch YouTube videos.
Because of the
Or
terrible
get on the internet
connection.
and like
Yeah.
just get on the internet and talk to people on
Yeah.
social media.
It takes forever for the
That
videos
was
to
trash
load
talk.
on
Suck
other
it.
types of websites.
I'm kidding.
Y'all need to go have babies, man. That's what you got to go do. Just start banging.
You really want
Bring
to
up that
bang?
population. Yeah, let's go visit.
And while you may think that's silly, since you can just hop on a plane and fly to a nearby country like Indonesia or Singapore, it actually isn't so simple. Most Australians live in the southeastern part of the country, so a flight to anywhere other than New Zealand means crossing the giant continent of Australia and then some, or just the entire Pacific Ocean. Basically, even those close countries end up being anywhere from a 6 to 10 hour flight away. It's at least a 14-hour flight if you're going to the US, and you should expect to spend over 24 hours in airplanes and airports if you want to visit anywhere in Europe. And before you comment, so what if other countries are far away? Australia's huge, just explore that. Well, the thing
Those are things that I'm thinking in my head right now. but I guess I could see what he's meaning. But I mean, there's people in Australia.
Yes, there is people in Australia.
I don't leave Texas.
That's true.
I mean, I don't travel a lot.
No.
I'd love to. Currently can't. But with that being said, like, I don't feel like I need to leave Texas because I feel lonely. Like, I got my people in Texas.
Oh, yeah. No,
You know what I'm
loneliness
saying?
is
Why do
not
these-
the thing.
Yeah.
Really, for me, the only reason I want to leave Texas is just for new scenery.
Exactly.
Like, I want to move to Utah. That's my spot.
Oh, I just meant like I want to see the new city, but still come back to Texas.
I'm ready
After
to
I
move.
leave.
I just can't because the ex-wife and the kids. I can't just be like, peace out.
Well, you could tell them, hey, let's go.
Yeah, I've done that. It does not work.
Oh, she doesn't want to.
No.
That's unfortunate. Mine wouldn't either.
And the only place she's mentioned is Arizona, and I do not want to live in 120-degree temperature.
About
That would
that
be
is
terrible.
that
Every
Australia isn't just isolated from other countries. The cities here are actually really isolated from each other. The land down under is the third least densely populated country in the world, with just 3 people per square kilometer. And it only has 5 real cities with metro populations over 1 million residents. So, as I'm sure you can guess, the population centers are very spread out, and most of Australia is very remote. For example, the 2 closest big cities would be Sydney and Melbourne, but they're still an 8.5-hour drive apart. Melbourne to Brisbane's an 18-hour drive, Adelaide to Darwin's a 31-hour drive, and Sydney to Perth is a 41-hour
We
nonstop
need to
trek
check out
with pretty
Darwin.
much nothing in
do.
between.
I feel like Darwin isn't
Number
getting
8,
much love.
time zones. Speaking of isolation, Australia isn't just physically isolated from other countries. You're also going to have trouble keeping in touch with your family or friends back home unless they live somewhere in Asia. Australia is an entire Pacific Ocean away from the US and 2 continents length away from Europe, so the time zones are practically exact opposites. Now, Australia has 3 main time zones, but for the sake of just showing how different
How can that big of a country have 3 we only have 4, do we? Pacific.
Central and Eastern.
No. We have Eastern, Central,
Pacific.
Mountain, and Pacific.
Yeah.
the times are. When it's 7 a.m. in Sydney, it's 10 p.m. in London, and when it's 6 a.m. in Perth, it'd be 6 p.m. in New York. I get that this is just more of an inconvenience than a huge deal, but it can get pretty tedious trying to schedule a call with your international family and friends.
That's our
Number
issue.
7, the internet sucks.
Huh.
If you finally do manage to get a hold of your
Gotcha.
family and friends, time zones might not be the only thing that get in the way. Because even if you schedule that Zoom call perfectly, the internet might just randomly cut out or start lagging, and by the time it's fixed, it's probably the other person's bedtime. Sure, the United States isn't anywhere near the best when it comes to internet speeds compared to most developed countries, but it's light speed compared to Australia, which is only ranked as the 43rd best country for internet. And no, I don't just mean that on average it has relatively slow download and upload speeds. I mean the most expensive plans still disconnect or lag frequently, and a lot of the plans actually have data caps. Who does that anymore?
Y'all really deal with data caps?
So that,
Early 2000s.
I mean, that could
hated
be a
that.
benefit for some people, you know?
Oh, it'd be great benefit for me if they had data caps. I'd be like,
No, I just
well,
meant like, yeah, you got to put your phone down.
Yep, first day, I'm done.
Gotta,
haven't even left
gotta
the bed
enjoy
yet.
Australia now.
Yeah.
Damn.
I gotta actually talk to people. What is this? No, to be
200
fair.
gigabyte a month plan
mean,
in
it would be good
Brisbane
for
with
people.
download speeds
Maybe.
only up to 12 megabits per second will cost you $65 a month. And don't even think about going over, or you'll have to pay an outrageous fee, and your internet speeds will slow down to 256 kilobytes per second. What developed nation?
Okay, wait. So y'all have data caps on your home Wi-Fi? I thought he meant cell phones,
Right.
because that's still a thing here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not common, but it's a thing. If
Right.
you have like a cheaper, like Cricket, type
Well,
cell phone.
Cricket's $45 a month, unlimited.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. But you probably don't have network everywhere.
Right.
But I didn't know. Do we have any home deals where you're capped on your internet usage? Maybe in rural areas.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Because everything's fiber now.
Mm-hmm.
nation has any internet speeds under 1 megabit per second. That's just ridiculous. Number 6, everything wants to kill you. If
Of
the
course.
frustratingly slow internet speeds are enough to make you want to go on a digital cleanse and take a camping
They're
trip
so
out in
tired
the
of hearing
wilderness, well, don't, because literally everything here is trying to kill you. Yeah, Australia's home to box jellyfish, stonefish, tons of poisonous snakes and spiders, blue-ringed
was about to
octopuses,
say, where's the
stingrays,
octopus?
sharks, and the largest saltwater crocodiles in the world.
So
Wait, did you
cute.
think I was done? No, I'm just getting started. Because kangaroos, dingoes, cassowaries,
They ride kangaroos.
Yeah, everywhere.
emus, cone shells, and drop bears can all pose serious
bears.
threats. Okay, well, maybe not the drop bears since they don't actually exist.
Or
but the
do
rest
they?
of those animals have all taken human lives. Australia just isn't a place where you can spontaneously go for a hike or swim without being very cautious of your surroundings at all times. Heck, there's a story of a man being snatched out of his boat in a river by a giant crocodile while he was just going fishing with his family.
To be fair, we can't go anywhere without being cautious at all times
That's true.
because people carry guns here.
It's true. But also, you know, I mean, you could go hiking somewhere in Texas, get rattlesnakes. You could go
Or get shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's serial killers that kill people that are on like trails and shit.
Yeah, I've seen
I've
that in
seen those on
movies.
Criminal Minds.
Yeah, mines, criminals.
Although, don't get too worried, because you're actually more likely to die by falling off a horse than from one of the deadly critters here. Just be careful and respect the animals
So
whose
cute.
homes you're visiting. Except for kangaroos.
R.I.P.
Well, you might think
Christopher
they're
Reeves.
so cute and cuddly. They can be vicious, and many Australians actually see them as
Don't blow up
pests.
with me,
The
Hunter.
only
They're so
reason the country
freaky.
hasn't declared war on them yet is because the kangaroos outnumber Australians 2-1, and the Aussies don't want a repeat of what happened in the Great Emu War of 1932. Spoiler
So
alert,
interesting.
the emus won. Number 5. Bad drivers. While many Aussies try to blame the kangaroo and their lack
keep
of
saying
road
Aussies.
sense as the reason for so many car accidents, only 7,992 kangaroo collisions actually occurred in 2019, which was less than 5% of the total
Damn.
automobile accidents in Australia. So maybe the drivers
Is that a-
should start taking a little more
I'm sure it was a
responsibility.
generic
Now,
video.
of course, every time
Oh, okay. I was like,
I would
what the
think it's
hell?
probably
because I've seen
generic.
somebody hit like a deer.
Yeah,
And
no,
it's
it'll,
nothing like that.
no, it can.
I mean, you got to be driving like a moron and hit
Yeah.
a full size buck to do anything like that.
Yeah. Well, but deer are different because usually deer are they'll jolt sometimes, but a lot of times deer are already in
And
the
you're
road
usually
and they're just
taking down their
staring at you.
legs because they're so tall. So I've never seen a hit like that
Right.
with a deer.
town, city, state, and country is going to
Maybe a
have its
cow?
fair share of bad drivers. But the drivers in Australia are really some of the worst in the world. And I'm not just saying this as some American trying to diss Australia, because I love Australia. And even people from Australia will admit that the drivers here are terrible.
I feel like we
in
could say
fact,
that.
Aussies
Yeah.
actually
Everybody says
upload
that.
more videos of illegal and bad road behavior than
About us.
any other country.
Than any country. They upload more bad driving behavior videos than any country.
I
For
feel
such
like
a small population.
feel like-
it's crazy.
we're bad drivers because we have such large highways.
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, statistically, I think we're not bad when it comes to like, because we follow rules very, very closely.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we do is speed or not use our blinkers.
Right.
But beyond that, I mean, we don't like ride the line very often because people are dicks and will try to run you off the road if you do that. So usually you're very precautious to that kind of stuff.
Right.
So.
Number 4. It's expensive. Aside from the aforementioned incredibly expensive internet, pretty much everything else here is expensive too. Because while Australia is big,
So
it's
beautiful.
still an isolated island, so a lot of things have to be shipped over long distances to get here. Of course, the cost of living varies based on location, with it generally being cheaper the farther you get from the coast and major cities, but Australia as a whole is pretty pricey. Granted, it is balanced out by the decent job pay, since Australia Australia
was gonna
actually
say in a
has the
second,
highest
pausing it.
after-tax minimum wage of any
Look how
country
big it
and a
is.
top
I know.
10 average
Now
income
that
at around
is awesome. Look at like from the sky view, it looks so tiny.
No,
Or
I was
from-
gonna pause it though and say that that the wages kind of balance it out
Right.
to an extent. I mean, it's
Where
still.
I feel like we're being left behind here.
Oh yeah, yeah. Our minimum because minimum wage for like restaurant workers is like
$2.18.
$2.18. But
to be fair, your better ones can make
restaurant
$80,000
workers
a year.
restaurant workers can make more than what the actual minimum wage workers make.
Oh, by a lot.
Yeah.
By a lot. I've talked to. In fact, I had a friend that got his bachelor's degree in accounting or something, and while he was going to college, he was a
Bartender.
no, he was a bartender. Really did it? No, he was a server at a high end place here in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
No, he got his master's degree, and he decided to stay being a server at the restaurant because he was making like way more than the average of the industry that he was going into, which I want to say was accounting of some sort. So I was just like, and the hours are way better because he only works like 6 hours a day or something like that.
Right.
So I was like, that's crazy. I was like, hook a brother up. In fact, he tried to, but I couldn't get in.
$64,000 per person per year. But then again, this also just creates an expensive cycle since the high minimum wage means high production costs, which means it's cheaper to import goods, but imported goods are expensive, and well, that's just economics. And even though most of the wages are livable, they're not necessarily enough to buy a home, especially in Sydney or Melbourne, where the median home values are 1.15 million and
Jesus.
855,000 Australian dollars respectively. That's nearly $820,000 for your average home in Sydney.
That's insane.
Number
That's
3,
ridiculous.
places close early. To add on to the fact that things are expensive here, it might be difficult to even buy said things if you're working normal hours, since most shops, stores, and restaurants usually close by the time the sun sets during the week. And if they
That's
operate at
insane.
all on the weekends, they're probably going to have even more limited hours. This one isn't a huge deal once you're used to it and plan accordingly, but it can be a big culture shock if you're coming from the States where there's an abundance of 24-hour businesses. Now, to be fair, a few places do actually stay open
guys
later
got,
if
like,
you're in a
Did you notice all the cops
Yeah,
out
at a
front?
Walmart. You guys got like restaurant bars and stuff though that stay open late, right?
What time does your what time is last call?
Yeah, or do you guys have a last call?
I mean, does anywhere have like 24-hour drinking?
I don't know. They shut. So some counties here can't serve alcohol. Some counties have to stop serving at 12. Some have to stop serving at
No, I think
1.
I think technically the rule is, and some places close early because there's just not that much business.
Right.
But I think the whole rule is 2 o'clock is the latest you can serve alcohol
2 o'clock's Rowlett, but I know for a fact Rockwall cuts you off at
because they
at
close
12.
down early.
No restaurant can, even if they stay open late,
Oh,
because Applebee's stays open until 1, but they have to stop serving at 12. And you can't buy liquor after 9
at a store,
in Texas.
yeah, or on Sundays.
Right.
Because
a
God,
big
it's
city
gonna be
like Sydney, Brisbane,
no.
or Melbourne, but it's hard to buy things past 5 or 6 p.m. pretty much anywhere else. Number
would
2,
kinda suck.
poor mental health services. Despite their vivacious exterior, Australians usually keep their feelings to themselves. It's just not normal to talk about personal problems here, and the mental health of the nation is suffering for it. Now, there are free care options available for at-risk individuals, but since there's a shortage of
That dude's way too
psychologists,
comfortable
it's
talking
left
about
many
his
other
issues.
people with
He looked like he was the person that should have been listening.
Right? He was just way too energetic.
Yeah.
Usually you're like, it's so hard.
Yeah.
no one to talk to about their problems unless they pay a lot of money out of pocket. And even then, many doctors and citizens as a whole aren't well educated in the case of mental health here, so good therapy isn't easy to find. 1 in 5 Australians between the ages of 16 and 85 have experienced mental health illness, and over 20% of young Australians struggle with depression or anxiety. Maybe the mental health issues here actually contribute to that risk risk-taking, fearless reputation most Australians have earned themselves, since it's kind of the culture here to just suck up your problems and pretend you're always having a good time. Now, before we get to number one, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. And if you'd want to see more videos about Australia or any other countries in general.
And it also sucks that he's saying don't move to Australia because they're all like
mentally unstable.
Fucking mentally unstable. Like what?
Now, sorry, indigestion. So here in the U.S., they just actually opened up a new phone line for like suicide prevention or anybody that you need to talk to for your, depression or whatever's going on in your psyche, whatever's going on. It's 988. It just opened up like 2 days ago. I thought that was cool because it used to be the 1-800 number that Logic actually rapped about. And then just recently they just came out with 988 because they want to make it easy for you. And they said they're going to have more funding because the issue with the other one was they didn't have a lot of funding. So they opened up a whole new kind of like department of in the government for
mental health services or something.
Let me know in the comments. But without further ado, number one. The immigration process is very difficult. While visiting Australia is as easy as having a valid passport, filling in an online application, and paying a small fee, becoming a permanent resident is incredibly difficult for U.S. citizens. Now, for young Americans eager to explore the world, Australia does offer a program known as the Working Holiday Visa, which allows you to live in the country for a year or two in exchange for paid work. But if you want to move here permanently, there are a lot of requirements, such as a confirmation of funds, a skill set assessment, proficiency in English, a health exam, no criminal record, and being under the age of 45. For the most part, you either have to have a lot of money saved up and plan to start a business in Australia, or offer a highly desired skill that no available Australian worker has. So while it's definitely easier to move here than to certain countries in Europe, it's still very difficult for your average American to immigrate here permanently, and that's probably why only 1,000 to 4,000 Americans do it each year.
That makes a lot of sense.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Let us know down in the comments. I'm kind of curious if that's like, if y'all prefer it that way, or y'all wish y'all could get more people there, or vice, whatever.
Well, I bet if it was easier for people to get citizenship or their immigration status approved, their population would be higher.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But that kind of thing,
but I
can't
also
even go there and retire.
Like my parents are talking about going to Portugal to retire because the cost is drastically lower.
Right.
So I don't think a lot of people, the vast majority, obviously, the middle class, going that far away from the U.S. and trying to retire there. I mean, would it grow? Absolutely.
Right.
But do I think it would grow exponentially? Probably not, because the cost of living is so high.
Yeah.
Even if the dollar's worth more money there, it's not that much higher. Yeah, I would go Philippines. If money didn't matter, Australia 100% of the way.
Well, but you couldn't.
That's true.
You can't unless you retire under 45.
I guess the Philippines it is.
The Philippines is nice.
I'm retiring next week. So I'll be in Australia.
We could retire next week and go to the Philippines and live a happy life.
You probably could and stay doing YouTube. That's it.
Yeah.
But guys, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you want to see our future videos, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. And if you want to support us directly, hit that join button. And with that being said,
my name is Miles.
And my name is Fez.
Thanks for watching, guys.
Peace
out.